Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's we're going to be reviewing the Lexus LX700h Overtrail, aka the 300 series Land Cruiser, just the Lexus version of it. I've been living with this for the last week, and so I have a really good idea of what this is actually like, and so I'll be telling you guys if this is worth it or not. Before we get into this video, as always, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Under the hood is a twin-turbo 3.4-liter V6 hybrid that goes through a 10-speed. Power outputs are 457 horsepower and then 583 pound-feet of torque, with fuel economy being in the high teens. I'll show you guys what I've been averaging, but really cool powertrain because they've added some redundancies to where, for example, if the hybrid system fails, the engine can keep on running so you don't get stranded. Now, before we move forward with this review, I do want to mention if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. This one is finished in earth, which I think is actually a pretty cool color. It stays really clean. What I mean by that is it just doesn't show stuff all that much, which, I don't know, I really appreciate. Now, you can see down below, we've got the signature Lexus headlights with what they call the waterfall grille. It is absolutely massive. You've got fog lights on either side, and yeah, not a great approach angle for an off-road vehicle. It does have the height adjustable suspension, but this is why a lot of us want the 300 series, because we want the bumper that comes with the 300 series. Now, our tire and wheel setup is 265 by 70 by 18, so it's just under a 33-inch tall tire. I've talked to a few people, and from my understanding, you can fit 34s on this pretty comfortably. You might even be able to fit a 35-inch tall tire without lifting it or anything like that, which you wouldn't want to lift it with the fancy hydraulic suspension that it has, but it's got quite a bit of tire clearance. You got these black painted fender flares and then blacked out mirror cap. You can see the door handles also blacked out as well. This one's got these side steps, and then if we take a few steps back, I think the side profile actually looks pretty good other than that front bumper, like I said. This comes with the normal Lexus key fob, which has our lock and unlock function. You got the opening for the hatch, and then you got the Lexus logo there on the back. Now, the one that Lexus sent out for me to test is one that doesn't have the third row. So if you guys remember, I reviewed one with the third row, and it came with like a shelf system that sat up pretty high, pretty close to those ledges. If you don't get the third row, you still lose a little bit of verticality, but this space is actually pretty usable, and so I think this might be the best way to do it is without the third row, unless you absolutely need a third row. Anyways, you've got 2400 watt outlet, which is definitely nice. Cargo cover built in from the factory as well. We've got the signature LX600 light bar design there on the back end, parking sensors down below, and putting it all together, again, other than the front, I think that the rest of the angles of the car look pretty good. Now, something to note, these doors feel really high quality for a modern vehicle. Like the handle, when you open it, it just feels sturdy. Now, I actually really like this interior color. I didn't think I was going to like it originally, but feature-wise, you got sunshades, you got soft touch trim here that's very durable feeling, and that's kind of the theme with the interior here. Everything feels very durable. But yeah, the coloration on these seats is, I don't know, I think the right tone to where it looks good, and it matches the exterior paint pretty well. Now, there's not a crazy amount of space, your body on frame, so things get pushed up, but this is still more than enough in my opinion. We've got our climate controls in the rear, so you have quad zone climate with this. You also have heated and ventilated seats, and you can access the front center console from the rear, which is a refrigerator, pretty cool feature there. And then you've got vents up top as well. This leads us up front, where again, we've got all of the soft touch trim here. This comes with memory seats, blind spot monitoring. We've got all of our window controls, the mirrors power fold in. If you guys are wondering, this is a big beast. So 1190 is the payload capacity, and this weighs about 6,200 pounds. Now, something I want to note before we look at the next thing is this does have soft closed doors, which, yeah, definitely a gimmick, and we'll talk about gimmicks in a little bit. But here's the front seat. Again, really nice trim. Power adjustments all along the side. You got that for your camera shortcut. Steering wheel's power adjustable. Lexus logo front and center on the steering wheel. We got controls for the center stack, volume controls. This comes with adaptive cruise control for lane centering and all of that, so pretty much self-driving system. Paddle shifters on the back, and, you know, nice soft touch trim around the steering wheel itself. Now I've got this digital gauge cluster, which you can change the information that's displayed. It's very customizable like other modern Toyota/Lexus product. Right now I have it to display what direction we're facing, and then you can see the fuel economy. I've been averaging almost 19 miles per gallon, or about 19 miles per gallon for most of my driving combined between city and highway, which for a 6,200 pound SUV, that's not bad at all. Now the drive modes will also pop up here, and this has a ton of different modes for on-road use. It does have multi-terrain select, which I'll show you guys in a little bit, but yeah, very customizable with that. Now in reverse, we do have a backup camera with trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel, and you've got the fill-in feature where it'll fill in underneath the vehicle as you move, which is nice for both on-road and off-road use. Now with this infotainment system, you got the volume control on the side. From my understanding, this was kind of an afterthought. Like, they basically built out the new UI after they had already designed most of the LX, and so they kind of just popped this onto the dash. Functionality's fine, it just looks a little bit funky. Now down below you have the secondary screen, which basically you can change how this kind of looks, but also controls stuff like the climate, and then just displays basic vehicle information. Again, this is kind of how they originally set it out to be, and then they plopped that on, and so you kind of have this, I don't know, leftover of the original design is a good way to put it. Anyways, physical buttons for the climate controls does come with the climate concierge, which will just do everything for you. You get drive mode select dial down below, but then you can also switch it to adjust the multi-terrain select crawl control. And then this is of course full-time four-wheel drive with a 2-speed transfer case. We've got heated and ventilated seats and heated steering wheel, all auto with that. Got your little parking assist, got some USB ports as well. Shifter here for the 10-speed, some cup holders, and then we've got the diff locks here for the front and the rear, just next to the steering wheel. And then down below, we've got our parking brake, auto hold, center diff lock. We've got our stability control, and this is to raise and lower the hydraulic suspension. Phone charging pad actually works, by the way, really well. Like I said, refrigerator, center console, it does the cool thing where it goes up either way. And then just really nice materials in general, really tight fit and finish. Like, build quality in this is fantastic. Camera, rear view mirror, and then we've got a sunroof. Now this one has equipped stickers for about $116,000, so it doesn't come cheap. Let's take it out. So let's first talk about the general driving dynamics, and then we'll talk about what it's like to live with the new 300 series. Does it actually live up to the hype? And if you guys don't know, I own a 250 and a 200 series, so yeah. I kind of like Land Cruisers now. They grew on me. So, noise insulation is really good. It's one of the more insulated cars that you can buy. And then you do get a little bit of tire noise, but it's not that bad. I've seen some car reviewers say the tire noise is too much, but it's like, this is the off-road version. If you don't want tire noise, then you get an F Sport, or you know what I mean? Ride quality is good. The hydraulic suspension is far superior to the air suspension. The regular springs you can get, so if you don't get any height adjustable suspension, the regular springs are good. But yeah, the hydraulic, that's the way to go. I think the air suspension, I don't know why Lexus even does it, to be honest. It's less reliable and it's not comfortable. Now, in terms of the sizing, this is about 200 inches long, so it's about 6 inches longer than the outgoing 200 series. You do notice the size. It does feel like a bigger vehicle. Seats are really comfortable and they're easy to get in. The bolsters aren't super high like the GX. Stupid birds. The GX 550, the bolster kind of sits a little bit high, so it's kind of weird getting in and out. This though is really nice. And overall it does, you know, on road it does the Land Cruiser thing where it is just very comfortable. It's a really good luxury vehicle. And this powertrain's got great power. How I've actually set up the custom drive mode, funny enough, and I'm still debating on the steering, but I did Eco for the engine, and then Sport for the suspension, and Sport for the steering. That might seem like a weird setup to do, but what I've discovered is this powertrain has so much power that you don't need to have it in the normal or the Sport performance. Eco, you still have more than enough power and you get a little bit better fuel economy. And then having the Sport kind of handling helps out, because it's a 6,200 pound SUV. So all the handling you can get, right? But yeah, it does the Land Cruiser thing where it's just super comfortable. It's not exciting to drive, but that's not the point. The point is that you get in and everything is supposed to work all the time, which I haven't had any issues with this. I haven't had any issues with my 250 Land Cruiser either. So you get in, things work, and it just does the stuff. So in summary, I'm really impressed with the 300 series. There's two things that I do not, well, three things that I don't like is, first off, that we don't get the Land Cruiser version. Toyota says that, well, it would be so expensive that people wouldn't buy it. No, that's not true. The 300 series, like, if they just sold the GR Sport, yeah, it'd probably sticker for like 105, 107,000, somewhere in that range. People would still buy it because there's a lot of people, myself included, that prefer the Toyota style because we prefer the bumper with the better approach angle. Like, the bumper's a huge problem with this. And then on top of that, I don't like all the gimmicks, soft closed doors, and the fancy sound system. I mean, I know people like sound systems. I don't care for it. All the luxury stuff that this has, just the Lexus interior in general, like, it's all just gimmicky to me. I don't, like, as a Land Cruiser owner, I just don't care about it. So I think there's too many gimmicks, and the fact that we don't get the Toyota version, I think, is a huge miss. They would be completely sold out. I promise. Just do one package, just the GR Sport that has the locking diffs, and they'd sell out. And then the last thing is the engine. This is the best version of this twin turbo hybrid V6. I did a comparison with this against the Sequoia. I compared it against the GX550. I've compared this powertrain against a regular LX, so the 600. This is just, it's the best tuned. It's not as good as the V8. It has more power than the V8. It just doesn't have the same smooth feel as the V8. It's really good. For a turbo 6-cylinder, it's really good. And I will have a side-by-side comparison with my 200 series so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But those are the three big downsides I see with this. People that complain about the price, I mean, everything's expensive nowadays, but the pricing for what this is actually isn't that bad. And so that's my 2 cents. And I guess, like I said with the gimmicks, if there's fewer gimmicks, the price would be lower, aka sell it as a Toyota with less stuff. So let me guys think about the 300 series, but it does the Land Cruiser thing, and I think considering how expensive late model 200 series are, you know, 2020s and 2021s, this actually might be the way to go for some people that are wanting that Land Cruiser experience, because, you know, as much as I love the 200 series, when they're going for $90,000 to $100,000 plus as a 4 or 5 year old used car at this point, it's kind of like, you know, maybe it's time to look at something new, right? That's just my 2 cents.